Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and oh my god, let's talk about Ezra Miller. It has gone from bad to worse. We know Ezra Miller is missing with a teenager, and Ezra Miller has had another restraining order or order of protection filed against them. Another 12-year-old saying that Ezra Miller was inappropriately touching them. And I think we're going to have a lot more of these. I have a feeling this is kind of the norm for Ezra Miller. So we're going to talk about this in this new comic book cover that has a naked Ezra Miller on it. Very bad timing. Very, very, very bad timing. And we're going to talk about the pressure being put on Warner Brothers to freaking fire this guy. And yeah, I said this guy, and no offense to anyone who identifies as non-binary, but I personally think in Ezra Miller's case, it's an act. I think it's an act. I think it's how Ezra Miller has gotten away with doing what he's been doing for so long. If Ezra Miller were just a straight dude, Ezra Miller would not have gotten away with it as long. Let's be completely honest, because Ezra Miller likes to throw out there that Ezra Miller is non-binary, trans, whatever. But you know, every time you see Ezra outside of Hollywood events, Ezra Miller is dressed like a male, dating women, you know, non-binary persons who are, let's face it, basically women or girls. I've seen nothing outside of him saying he's non-binary to indicate that he is non-binary. That is a personal opinion. And again, no offense to anyone who legitimately identifies that way, but I think this is part of how he's gotten away with this behavior for so long, because people are like, what the hell, Warner? Why are you letting this person get away with all kinds of PR black eyes and whatever? And it's like, yeah, they're afraid of getting canceled by Twitter. If they took Ezra Miller to task for choke slamming a woman, or, you know, the incident in Hawaii and all this other craziness, Twitter would be like, oh my God, Warner, you're picking on a non-binary person and trans person. How dare you? And Ezra Miller, again, likes to throw this out there. Look at the body cam footage. The body cam footage. The first thing Ezra Miller did when the police are coming after him, I'm non-binary. You can't touch me. You're not allowed to touch me. I'm non-binary and trans. Yeah, so let's talk about all this ridiculous bullshit with Ezra Miller. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 270,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciated. We've been chronicling the Ezra Miller debacle, and I gotta tell you, this is one of the few things we've covered on this channel that I am legitimately angry about, because it never should have gotten this far. Again, you know, the Johnny Depp situation, and I hate to keep bringing it into this conversation, but Johnny Depp had some allegations, unproven allegations, leveled at him by his salty ex-wife. And he was fired from Fantastic Beasts. No questions asked. Just, you're done, Johnny. See ya. Ezra Miller has had repeated infractions, repeated PR nightmares, repeated run-ins with the law, and now apparently a repeated pattern of grooming behavior. And Warner Brothers has done nothing. And again, not to drag sexual identity into it, but I do believe on some level that, Ezra Miller identifying the way Ezra Miller does is a big part of the reason why there hasn't been action taken against him sooner. So let's talk about the pressure on Warner Brothers. They're under pressure to address it. Let's talk about this stupid comic book cover. Get this, The Flash, Ezra Miller features naked. He's naked in this comic book cover. Warner Brothers set to fire the actor. They said they're set to fire him. This comic book cover, look, it's the Ezra Miller version of The Flash, and he's naked. That's the last thing you want to see when Ezra Miller has disappeared with a teenager, and we don't know where Ezra Miller is, and Ezra Miller is making cryptic comments on Instagram that a normal person would look at and be like, this sounds really ominous. This sounds like Ezra Miller might have, literally had a sip of the Kool-Aid, and God only knows what happened to that teenager. So this is coming from, what is this site? This is Marca. For Ezra Miller, keeping their role in the Flash movie or staying inside Warner Brothers DC Universe is the least of their problems. The actor is currently on the run from police with kidnapping accusations on him and allegedly grooming a young woman since she was 12. There's also another restraining order for erratic behavior toward the mother of a 12-year-old non-binary child involving him carrying a gun. Again, anybody else would have been canceled for any one of these things. Anybody else would have been canceled for being on camera choke slamming a woman. But not Ezra Miller. You can't touch Ezra Miller because Ezra Miller's got that protective layer. And you know what? If Ezra Miller is the sociopath I think Ezra Miller is, this is probably all by design. Again, this is my theory. My theory is Ezra Miller is batshit crazy, probably a sociopath, and Ezra Miller could be lying about his sexual identity and his gender because he knows he won't get caught as easily current year. Just a theory. Just a theory I have. And again, this is no offense to anyone who actually identifies that way legitimately, but it is something that he keeps reminding people. Again, when faced with police action, he keeps reminding the police, you can't touch me. I'm non-binary. You're not allowed to touch me. I don't consent. I don't consent. Do those kids consent, or do we have to work on that for about 6 years? Is that how that works? You get there, you get to yes. It's kind of like sales, right? You get to yes. It just takes a couple of years to wear people down enough to get them to give in. Then they call you comrade. Then they call you Comrade Ezra. Amid the piling scandals, it was obvious Warner Brothers needs to make a decision about their future, but getting there wasn't going to be easy. The Flash movie's slated for 2023, and the director isn't helping out with the final say on Miller's future. A recently released comic book about the upcoming film depicts Ezra Miller naked in an image that has poor timing amid all the scandals they're involved in right now. Yeah, that's not good. That's not freaking good. The comic is a prequel to the film he's developing, and the cover comes out in the least ideal time for everybody. According to an explosive report by Deadline, Warner Brothers executives weren't happy with the decision to release this comic book cover. No movie studio wants any situation to escalate as things are escalating now with Miller. They're unhinged and unable to control their life, and probably going to hurt somebody very, very badly, themselves or somebody else. God forbid Ezra Miller hurts that teenager. At this point, Warner Brothers is a lose-lose situation, gives them no room to maneuver. They can either scrap the movie, send it directly to streaming, or keep Miller and release it at the risk of not making any money. Either way, they won't come out at all. Ezra Miller is no longer part of DC's future. Obviously, I think David Zaslav is going to reset the whole damn thing. So let's talk about this. People are wondering why Warner Brothers isn't saying a damn thing, because they probably don't know how to react. And God forbid, they know what's actually going on with Ezra Miller, and they're just not saying anything because they don't know how to break it to the public. I don't know. This kind of reminds me of Hail Caesar. If you guys have seen Hail Caesar, it's actually a very, very good movie. It's about a Hollywood fixer. It's Josh Brolin who has to go find George Clooney. He's been kidnapped by the communists, by the socialists, and he's been brainwashed. And he has to go get him and fix the problem so the studio doesn't look bad. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Like they need to go send Josh Brolin after this guy. He can't run very well, so he shouldn't be that hard to catch. Unless, again, something really awful happened. God forbid that's what happened. But again, those Instagram posts are completely wacky. So David Zaslav has made it clear his desire to grow the DC universe to MCU scale and has all the ingredients of a first foot forward in the Flash, except for fucking Ezra Miller, including the return of Michael Keaton as Batman and Ben Affleck, a $200 million budget, and a hot director in Andy Muschietti. I think he's the guy who did It, who delivered, the blockbuster It for the studio. The Warner Brothers Discovery CEO exercised his well-known penchant for micromanagement by declining to greenlight the Wonder Twins movie. Zaslav will have to soon make a decision of what to do with the completed picture that is The Flash, and what to do with a young actor who appears to have serious offset issues. Call it The Flush. Here's the thing. Zaslav has canceled CNN Plus, and it was like, $500 million or some ridiculous amount of money? They can pull the plug on The Flash to save face. Now, or they could just release it direct to streaming and call it a day and just be like, you know what, we're rebooting the DC universe. And I think this is probably between Ezra Miller and Amber Heard and everybody leaving. Henry Cavill's out, I guess. Ben Affleck's out. They're going to have to do a hard reset of the DCEU. There's no way to avoid it at this point. It has to be completely reset. Like brand new Superman movie where Superman is actually Superman. And just kind of go from there. And just build it out from there. That's what they're going to have to do. Deadline has heard the studio has tried getting help for Miller, but the troubling headlines continue to pile up. Again, Johnny Depp did not even get that consideration. Johnny Depp was like, wow, yeah, your ex-wife said some really shitty things about you in the newspaper. Yep, you're done. Bye. Bye-bye. Could you send a potential liability on a global publicity tour and have the actor anchor a huge studio franchise play? No! No! You can't. Zaslav has several choices. He will make one of them soon. Among them, he can pull back on heavily promoting the movie, confining it to some P&A and no publicity tour. Or he can regulate it to streaming with HBO Max and take it right down. Or lean in toward making the movie a hit and then drop Miller if they can't straighten things out. Don't give him any more chances. How many chances does Ezra Miller need? God, Warner Brothers did that when they dropped Johnny Depp from the Grindelwald character after the actor's well-publicized, unsuccessful UK lawsuit. The studio replaced Depp with Mickelson. This is not the same thing. Those were allegations. This shit with Miller is provable. And it's not just one incident. It is like so many run-ins with the law, accusations getting violent. We've seen him on the body cam with people. We've seen him choke slam somebody. The guy's trying to take on the KKK. Do you really want the KKK showing up at your filming location? Because Ezra Miller's trying to take him on. I mean, what the fuck is it going to take? There's no winning this for Warner Brothers. No. This is an inherited problem for Zaslav. The hope is that the scandal will remain at a low level before the movie is released and hope for the best to turn out. So they're basically just waiting, hoping it goes away. I hope to God Ezra Miller does not wind up dead. I hope to God that teenage girl does not wind up dead. Because there's some seriously creepy bullshit going on. And nobody's saying anything about it. They're just like, oh, yeah, hopefully it'll go away. Well, if somebody winds up fucking dead or hurt or something, or the rabbit hole goes really deep, it's like, oh my God, how many 12-year-olds has Ezra Miller been grooming for how long and on Warner Brothers' dime? You know, the money that they've been paying him has allowed Miller to do this for years, and they turned a blind eye. You can't tell me nobody knew. You know, it's going to be a much bigger scandal. Yeah, so I'm saying, like, look, normally, again, not into cancel culture, but this is somebody who's doing some illegal shit, all right? This has to be stopped. They have to do something. They have to take the L. People are only going to the Flash movie for Michael Keaton anyway. Just, you know what? Shelve the Flash, maybe cut some of the scenes out of that movie with Michael Keaton, and just give us, like, a version of The Dark Knight with Michael Keaton. Money in the bank. People would go see it. That's the only reason they're going to go see this movie anyway, is for Michael Keaton. Sources said if no more allegations surface, the studio won't likely keep Miller in the Flash role. No, I wouldn't. He's a liability. That means replacing him in the future, but there's still a $200 million investment on the line with the first film, and Warner Brothers execs have to be cringing at each new press report. Yes, he's grooming children. That's kind of a big deal. There have been 2 more rounds of unflattering headlines in the last 2 weeks for the 29-year-old Miller, who identifies as non-binary. Again, no offense to anybody who does, but I think this is his way of deflecting. I think he's made himself a protective layer that's going to be much harder to get to him. Like, oh yeah, I'm non-binary, and I just prey on non-binary people that just happen to all be, you know, girls. Well, look at that. The Daily Beast reported Daily Beast, which is very far left. The Daily Beast reported there was a temporary harassment prevention order this week from a 12-year-old girl and a mother in Massachusetts. And then he disappeared with a teenager. And everybody's saying he uses violence, paranoia, drugs, whatever to get whatever he wants. What the fuck is it going to take? Warner Brothers, seriously. Seriously. You fired people for so much less. You know, so ridiculous. And at this point, Twitter has actually turned against Ezra Miller too. So you don't have to worry about that. Just take the L, fire the motherfucker, and move on. Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.